You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We are broadcasting live from the Concierge Landscape Studios. Remember, when it comes to grounds care, you want someone who is proactive, looking for site solutions before problems appear. Anybody can quickly drive a small tractor across your lawn or driveway, but you want someone who knows and understands how curb appeal adds value to your property. Call Concierge Landscape at 763-213-2410. And we're also brought to you this hour by Extreme Exteriors. Well, before we get into our topic, I'd like to let our listeners know here on the first hour that we have a great resource for you. It is a bi-monthly newsletter that we write every other month, and it's yours free. Just give us a call at New Concepts at 952-922-2500. Ask for Courtney. She'll make sure that you start receiving that subscription. A lot of the topics we cover on the air are covered in further detail. It's a great resource. Again, over 18,000 folks are subscribing now. Well, if you're just joining us, we're going to be talking now a little bit this morning about some of the major pending legislation that is being offered up at the state legislature right now.
These are amendments to existing legislation, and we first brought them up last week, and now we're going to follow up today with the people involved with it.
Yes, and we have on the line this morning a homeowner who feels that there are some wrongs that need to be corrected with this legislation. So we welcome to the show Eileen Tompkins. Good morning, Eileen.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to your program.
You're welcome.
Eileen, begin by letting our listeners know a little bit about your background. You're a little bit unique. You've served in the legislature yourself, haven't you?
Well, I have. I was a state representative for 14 years, representing Apple Valley and at one point Farmington and a part of Lakeville.
Okay. And now, how long have you currently lived in a homeowners association?
It'll be 6 years, and I will tell you how that all came about.
All right, good.
Please go ahead.
I lived in Apple Valley for 34 years, and we sold our home and moved to the lake. My husband died 3 years later, and I moved back down here. I wanted to have a home that was, I thought, a good investment at the time and close to St. Joe's Parish. And there really is not a choice. There are 6 builders in Rosemont, and they all belong to the big Evermore Association with sub-associations from that.
Okay, so that you're within a homeowners association. And Eileen, is this a single-family home, or is this an attached home?
Single-family, 2-story colonial.
I see. Okay.
I pay the taxes. I paid for the house, and there are all kinds of rules and regulations.
And so let's also just clarify for our listeners, too, Eileen, in a homeowner association, a lot of people think of townhomes or condominiums that are stacked on where you have units above and below you, townhomes where it's connected side by side. But these are single, if you were to drive through the neighborhood, these are single-family detached homes from anything else. You have a specific yard around each of them, and each homeowner is responsible for all the maintenance, everything in their yard, in their home, correct?
They provide nothing, no services, whatever. Although there are duplexes, condos, and those kinds of things in the area also, which are also a part of this master association. Well, last 4th of July, I thought, we could put up a couple of flagpoles, and my grandson said, "I've got it, Grandma," and he put them up, and we put those flags up, and it was a wonderful time. Then I received a letter from the Keller Management Group telling me that I was mistakenly putting up flagpoles and whatever, and I thought, well, I have to resolve this. So there's a yearly meeting, and I went to the yearly meeting, and there wasn't enough people to have a meeting. They couldn't produce a quorum. So then I went to the master meeting and find out that, they couldn't really do much about it either. They told us to try and get enough people for a quorum. But at that meeting, I asked them why they had these rules about foreclosure, that they can foreclose on your property for absolutely anything. And I was told that that was state law. Well,
Eileen, let me back up a minute. What happened to the flag issue?
The flag issue is still unresolved.
Is it not? Okay. All right. I thought that Minnesota had passed some legislation a couple years ago that allowed flags in homeowner associations.
Flags, yes, and we're going to make it more specific so that it states flag poles as well.
I see. Okay. All
so
right.
you didn't want to display. So excuse me, Elaine. You did not want to just display a flag on your home. You would like to have a flagpole that is separate somewhere else in the yard. Correct?
Well, of course.
Okay. Okay.
We're a Navy family. My husband served in the military for many years, and the flag is an important part of our life.
A lot of people feel that way.
Yes, and we've always had a flag.
So
that is nothing new. But when he told me that all of these things were in state law, I had to find out about that.
Sure.
And it isn't. There is nothing in state law that says they can do any of the things that they do. It just gives them, federal law says they have the ability to form associations. It doesn't go into detail about
excuse me, Eileen. I would disagree with that. There is extensive state law. It's called Minnesota 515B, also known as MKIWA, the Minnesota Common Interest Ownership Act. Also referred to as the Act. It's been in existence for a long time and does govern homeowner associations, specifically ones that were created later, like yours. And so there are specific laws on the books in terms of being able to foreclose and for a homeowners association to be able to have the right as a group of homeowners to gather together to decide the rules and regulations that they wish to preside under. All of that is clearly defined and has been for years.
Well, that's news to me because the revisor didn't tell me that, and I went, they're lawyers, and they do this every day.
Well, I'd suggest you go to the revisor and look up 515B.
I will.
But I am still interested because the issues you raise, Eileen, are common issues that we hear about from lots of homeowners associations. The flag issue a couple years ago, the state said, yes, owners in a homeowners association can display the flag, but the homeowners association can outline specifications on how that can be done. So it sounds to me like it was okay for you to display a flag, but your association had said not on a pole in the yard or something like that.
Well, they didn't even say that, actually. I don't think these people actually know what is law, what are the rules, where they came from, or they wouldn't have said those things.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, and that is, when you purchased your home, you used a realtor, I assume, didn't you?
No, I did not. It was D.R. Horton.
You purchased from the developer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and there are certain things that were required by law. One of those being able to acknowledge receipt of the governing documents for the homeowners association.
I read all of the bylaws.
So you did receive that.
Good for you.
So you read that before purchasing,
yes,
correct?
I did.
Okay, so if you did,
they told me it was not, that onerous, that it would not be a big deal, and I
minimized
was concerned about it. But there's nothing else anywhere. If you want a newer home, they're all in an association in Rosemont, in Apple Valley, wherever, you will, if you want a newer home and it isn't this little cracker box thing,
So you made the choice to live in the homeowners association. I'd be interested in what other issues the new amendment to It's section 500.215 about flags and non-commercial signs. Tell me about the non-commercial sign issue.
Well,
that kind of
would
surprised
be
us.
Basically a campaign sign.
Okay.
I think that's freedom of speech. And I believe that this goes way beyond being shut up in the world of appearances with silly rules about basketball hoops, sheds, and fences. It goes right to the heart of America, where individual liberty is part of our inherent belief system. And we are still in America, I think.
Well,
one of the things that concern us is these amendments apply to all homeowner associations. So in your situation where you're a single-family home with your own yard, there may be some things that the homeowners could decide to change in your homeowners association that would make sense, like a flagpole or a basketball hoop. But when we have attached townhomes, and you're going to be requiring by these amendments that attached townhomes also allow these things, you start infringing on neighbors' space and neighbors' rights with this stuff.
The problem is we can't even get a quorum to change anything.
There you
Most
go.
of these
Could
associations are disbanded within 10 years.
That's not true. Could it be that your neighbors don't agree with you, and that's why you can't get a quorum?
No, I have talked to everybody on my street. They all want to get out of the association, not just change, the honor.
The rules, I see.
Rules.
Well, excuse me, Eileen, we've got to take a quick break. When we come back, folks, we'd love to hear from you as well. Do you agree with homeowner Eileen Tompkins that there are liberties being taken away from homeowners in HOAs here in Minnesota?
Call us, 651-289-4488.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280, The Patriot.